Alright then. Should be us heading into race number 2 now. Can find it. Alright, we've got 18 people in the lobby right now. Just need to go through, wait for the last couple of people. I need to go and double check who is in what car. Right, so NLR, 2 guys today. MCI and Frankis. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that, so he's MCI for the day. X Esports is the same lineup, so it's Guyton and Seb all over again, hoping to avoid a little bit of the drama that they had last week. CPI and the Red Bulls, they've got Ragnar and Gatkowski, who got penalised in the end for last week. We'll wait and see how that all goes down. I think there might have been a appeal going on for that, but I'm not entirely sure if there has been or what the outcome of that was. Relentless in the heart, so they've got Justice and Ariel Jet. No Liam there today. Interesting, considering he put up a very good fight at Silverstone. You've got DKMN in the Mercedes, so that is Valley today and Sten. This could be interesting. Alright, in the Williams. So it's Warax all over again. He's here. And is there anyone in the Williams to join him? Alright, it's George. Alright, so George is in the Williams as well. We're 19 of 20 now. I'm trying to figure out who is the one that isn't here. Cine is back for VMV. Alongside Indian. And then you've got LRN, Danny and Specklap in the McLaren for LRN today. ASAC in the Alphas. So you've got Jedler and George. And of course there's multiple Georges. George Ansel and George. I think there's going to be what we call them today. And then JSP in the Ferrari. So Nightborn. Nightball even. I think that might be the one we're missing. We're missing a singular Ferrari. Alright then. I think we're just waiting on one GSP guy. Alright, how's everyone doing so far? Just about to go for 80 minutes of qualifying and 32 laps around Imola. Is it Crowell joining us? Hello, no joke. It's not Crowell joining us. Who's the one that's not? Who's the one that's meant to be joining us? Who do I not see? You have 20. Is there a second Ferrari? I ain't a one spectator. Not a lot. Just about to watch a bunch of fast guys go around Imola. You know, perfect thing to be doing instead of uni work. No, that'll get a rise out. My girlfriend is currently sat next to me. Yeah, Stennin's racing today, so someone's having a problem. Rishi's not having. Rishi wanted us to wait up. Turns out we've all gone, so whatever he wanted to do, we'll have to wait. Just waiting for everyone to load in now, and I think we've got one more GSP guy on the way. Oh, it is wet. It is very wet. Okay, this is going to get very interesting very quickly. Turn on a few things. Still waiting on a singular GSP guy. As we wait for cars to come out of... Yeah, the cars are going to go swimming today. It's not what you would expect normally. So Jedler's going to be the first one out, full wet tyres. Actually, both the ASAC lads have decided to come out pretty early. I'm assuming there's going to be people... well, people are just going to be scrambling for a setup, I think. I feel like that's what's going to be happening for the first maybe 5-ish minutes, unless there's a drop-off of rain to come and people are going up for the sake of going out. Wait and see, I guess. It looked like GSP are going to be at a disadvantage for today. It's just going to be something they're going to have to put up with, which is pretty unfortunate. GSP had a good time in the middle of last week. For those who watched Silverstone with us, you'll know what I'm talking about. You also know what I'll be talking about when I say there was a pretty huge argument at the end of Silverstone last week, and I don't think it's quite finished. We'll see if it continues to boil over into round 2 here at Imola. Well, if I Gatkowski got a different teammate for the day as well. Oh, there goes Jedler, and that's a reset to track. That is just a blatant reset to track. Got that one on camera. Jedler spins his way in the final lap, well, in the final couple of corners, and then into the pits, and both of the ASAC lads comes out, do a lap, and then go straight into the pits without really doing an awful lot of anything, as we'll continue now to watch Warak's lap. Hello, Flav. Watch RR now. Chat's definitely a lot more active than it was last week, I'll say that much. BMB, to be fair, BMB did very well last week, if I remember right. I think Sine ended up getting second or first in the end. I don't know what happened with the penalties, but he got one of the top 2, because I know Gatkowski got 5. So, yeah, other people may fill me in as we go along. I know that was the end of last week. Warak's currently doing his lap now, going through the end of the first sector. 28.4 through the end of the first sector. You've got 4 or 5 guys that are also on a lap right behind him. He's sliding the car a little bit there at the hairpin. Trying to find not finding a drier line, but going as much of the puddles that he physically could find up the hill. And then down the hill towards Aqua Minerale now, as he goes through Aqua Minerale. Is he going to keep the car in line? We saw Jedler not have a great time on the outlap here. Warax is actually going to be able to hold the car. The rain is usually a great leveler when it comes to these kind of events. We'll see who can and can't hold their nerve. And let's Warwick going through the final couple of corners now. I'm just going to do a double check on the mic audio on stream as well while I'm at it before we get too far in. By Warwick going to the line, and the first bar set is a 29-8, and then immediately beaten 28-2 and 27-3 by Sten. Look at that. Pretty nice lap. Justice on a 26-9 as well, and the times are coming down already. Damn. Who's the next one to the line? It looks like we're going to have Valley as the next one to the line, and we're going to watch him come over the line. 26-9 is currently the best lap. Valley can only do a 29-0, and McLaren behind and spec lap on a 27 flat, while Danny has retired from the session. We're going to see what he's invalidated. So we're going to have a look at Jet. Jet had a great time last time out before a punctured tyre on the final lap of Silverstone. Gatkowski on a 26.5. But yeah, Jet was in the ride for top 3, maybe even a podium before his tyre gave out. See what he has cooked up to for us in this one. Right now, oh, there's a bit deep there from Jet. Not going to be too happy with the way he's going up the hill. For the exit of Aqua Minerale is probably not his best work. Into the wall he goes. Well, he saved it for the wall, but he spun the car around nonetheless. Seb's invalidated. Ansel's in the pits. Frankis is now on a lap. We'll actually have a little look at what Frankis is doing. I expect him for most people to have gone out with a bunch of fuel and the ability to do multiple laps in one stint. We'll see what can be achieved by some of the guys still in this lobby. A couple of guys on the outlap now as well. Still 3 in the pits. George just started off his lap, I'm pretty sure. Someone just went up to 4th. I think that was Ragnar that did a 27.2, jumped up. Jet did a 46, and I don't think he's going to be too happy with that as Frankist invalidates his lap. Let's see what George is doing then, considering he's next on the list without a lap. Once we got Seb, but Seb also looking to go through. Gatkowski again, 26-1. He is just storming right now. I think Gatkowski's out to prove a point. And prove a point he will. Someone has crashed there in turn, out of turn 2 or 3. They go into the second sector, and the Haas is getting out of the way of the other Alpine, and here comes George up towards... Oh, Gatkowski's out, so he's either spun it or thinks he's got too much of an advantage and wants to call it quits. Right now, 26.6, up to second. CPI in the Red Bull, dominating at the moment. Right, Gatkowski probably believes that he's got no challenges at this point. We'll see if that comes true. And it looks like it looks like Jedler may have had a bit of a problem, and there goes a front wing. I'm not entirely sure whose end plate that is. As George goes for a 27.7, moves him up a little bit further up. Oh, look at what Indian's doing. Indian 92. It gets it all wrong. Gets everything wrong there on the off the exit. And then George Ansell's out the session as well. So we're down 3 with about 9.5, well, almost, actually, 10 minutes left of the session. We've got someone in the wall at Aqua Minerale, and I believe that was Ansel that ended up in the wall there, and one of the Alpines getting out of the way of an Aston Martin coming through Aqua Minerale. Ending to the line of 32.9. Frankis is going around now, but I don't know how well he's currently doing on a lap. 21 to go through the final corner now as he goes to the line. 26.7 is enough for third. Frankis doing a little bit of work here, and I'm not sure if Jedler's got a full car. It looked like he wasn't the one that lost the end plate earlier on. 58.1. He goes through the first 2 sectors. Game says it's purple. I'm not sure how true that is. The Ferrari that goes very deep that there. Nightbore has sixth on the leaderboard at the moment, 27.068, ever so slightly short of Speclap, currently in fifth. And so we've got Jedler to the line now. Is he going to be able to surpass Gat? No, he's not. He's going to do a 27.3. It's good enough for eighth. And he expects some to pick it up at this point. Let's have a look at what Valley's 6 seconds back. He's got a few guys going through. Let's have a look at what Guyton's doing, actually. Guyton, Seb, Gat... Well, we won't be able to look at what Gatkowski does, because for the second week in a row, we won't see a qualifying lap from our current pole sitter. He's 6 tenths of a second up here, Guyton. Would be enough to take him up to 7th. Sten's got to get a move on then. We've got 8 minutes left to the dot. With Guyton coming down into the final couple of corners. Goes through the second to last. Keeps it valid. Going through the last third gear. And Frank is 26 flatted enough to beat Gatkowski. So Gatkowski will not be on pole this week. He cannot make it 2 from 2. Guyton up to a 26.8 and up to 4th. NLR looking to fight back from a quite frankly disastrous week 1. By their standards at the very least. Cine up to 4th, 26.6. So unless Gatkowski, I'm assuming Gatkowski was just spinning there when he retired earlier on. Probably still had some time left in the lap, but we'll never find out that if that's the truth now. And Speclap up to second. Speclap 26.1. Look at that. And Sten 25.6. I assume the rain must be starting to slow down a little bit. 25.6, 4 tenths at the top of the leaderboard. So this might end up coming down to who's the last one on the track. And the rain is starting to slow a little bit down. More and more of the rain coming off the track. Times will get better, so it might definitely be who's the last one to go now. Everyone is, well, actually, intermediates, yeah, you're right, good call. Did not see that, which confirms the rain slowing down a little bit. I've only seen wet tires on the cars, so I didn't think anyone would be pushing for something else at the moment. Couple of guys made the early move, going on to intermediates, see what they can actually fish out now. I think that means that we'll see pretty much everyone heading onto those intermediates sooner rather than later. We won't see Justice doing that this time round though. Justice to the line, 25.6 is only just 9 thousandths of a second slower than Sten. Ragnar up to third as well, 25.9. Let's have a look at what Knight's doing. Knight's invalidated lap. We'll follow him when he goes through. George has called it the yellow flag. Sten with a 25.1. Let's see what the NLR is doing. Seb with a 25 flat. And all of a sudden, we've got a little bit of a hot potato with the lead in qualifying up to third from the NLR lad. Yeah, and Frank is also down to 6th now after one hell of a lap from him, and see what Nightborn can do. He's currently a second, just over a second up. We've got a lot of VMB in the chat so far today, and Cine and Indian can do for you. Cine was 4th at one point. We'll see if he can improve on that. Currently on the intermediate tyres, so we'll see whether or not there is a jump coming sooner rather than later as he goes. And we see Knight go through Aquaman and Raleigh now and Invalidate on his way through. Let's see what the front guys are doing. I assume Justice is going for a pit lane dive here, and he is. Let's see what, is it Gitch? And that's an absolute botch of the name. And I'm going to assume he's Dutch. So he's going to be called MCI for the day. But yeah, unless someone from NLR can come in and give me a pronunciation for his name very quickly, he's gonna be known as MCI for the day. And Seb 24 flat, entire second quicker. Let's see what the Aston Martin can do. 25 flat is enough for second, only second. Let's see what Warwick is doing. Currently 0.3 of a second slower. He needs to find some time here. It doesn't look like he's doing it. He's got some time to find, and quite frankly, he's running out of time here, I think. There's Seb and MCI right now at the top. Stead in the pit will probably come out in a minute or so. Get it done. Morak's 1.5 seconds, or just shy of 1.5 seconds, I think I saw there. Quicker on his lap. Would put him up to a 28.1. It's only enough to beat out Jet at the moment, who is actually setting a lap, so it probably won't be there for much longer, as Warwick is going to go a little bit deep into the second to last. Now through the last corner, keeps it going. He's found some time, but how much time has he found? It's a 25.9. His third sector was a lot better, and he's up to 6th. Let's see what the nearest Mercedes are doing. Varley to the line now, 22, 23, and it's a 23.7, and Varley hits the front. Let's see what the Alpine of Seb is doing. He's 4 seconds slower on his lap right now, so he's just working up some ERS, possibly. Jedler and George to the line now. George unable to do an awful lot. Jedler, not long since gone past, so we'll just see what is going on here. Ragnar's the next one to the line, and we'll have a look at what Ragnar's doing as we go through the final sector now. It's not a great lap at all from Ragnar, which means he'll be able to have a go pretty much now, and we're running out of time for some people. About 2 minutes left. Guyton at 23.6, sorry. Jet up to 4th as well, 24.5. As the times are still tumbling down. The people coming over the line. Sine up to 5th, 24.8. We're coming and watching Ragnar's CPI's hopes are starting to fade away in this qualifying session. But again, we've seen so far, it's going to be who is the last one to cross the line, and have they done a lap good enough to justify a pole position? If they can get anything going, they will have. Got yellow flags in sector 3. Not entirely sure what that. I think that's a Mercedes that has had a bit of a problem here, as we've got Ragnar going for Aqua Minerale now. We'll continue to watch his lap. We've got a minute 20 left on the clock. I think Jedler just went up to 5th. He did 24.1. CPI, one of the championship contenders of the team. And I'm pretty sure they were leading the championship given the first race of the season. We'll see if they can capitalize on the first race and the second race here. They go through the second to last and through the final corner now as they head to the line. Can Ragnar put himself on pole? No, he cannot. 24.0 is enough for 4th at the moment, though. Let's see who's the next one to the line. I think that might be just us. No, it isn't, which means it's Jet, the next one to the line. Someone's had a bit of a problem there. I think that's an Aston Martin. I think that's MCI that's had a bit of a problem. Seb not to the line, which means Guyton is the next one. Didn't get a better lap. And I don't think there's a lot of improvement going on right now. Justice up to 3rd. That's pretty good from him. Aston Martin. NLR Frankis up to 7th. Ferrari not really doing an awful lot either. McLaren up to 4th, 23.9. Williams is not going to set a lap. He's invalidated. Here comes George. Actually, it's Jedler next to the line. George is also coming up. We're actually out of time, so we're going to have a look as we go through. Jedler up to 3rd. Who's the next one to the line? It's not Sten, so that means it's Varley. Varley is not going quick at the moment. He just about goes quicker, but it's not enough. Let's go. Here comes Seb to the line. 26.3 is not enough to improve even. The next to the line means George after that. Then a Mercedes, a Sten. And then Ragnar after that. George 24.7 enough for 11th. Sten up to 8th. Ragnar to the line is not quicker. We are running out of time. And I think that's a pit lane there for MCI. He's retired from the session. I think Jet's just gone over the line. Justice is coming. I think Guyton's pulled. Well, Guyton's just done a 23.4, so Guyton's got a lot to give as well. Justice to the line. I think he might be now the only person. No, he's invalidated as well. Frankis is currently quicker, but I don't think he's that much quicker. He's up to second, though. 23.7. That's a good lap. And Spec Lap at the end. Spec Lap at the end has done just enough. Unless Warax is going to beat him out. He doesn't. He's invalidated. Spec Lap pipping Guyton right at the end. It's very familiar scenes to what we saw at Silverstone this time last week, where an ex-esports driver gets beaten out the very last second. This time it's by LRN and not CPI. Spec Lap, where was he last week? Given LRN a much needed boost in this qualifying session up to pole position here at Imola. Not sure if we're getting a dry race, but there you go. Spec Lap followed by Guyton in an all Dutch front row. Frankis and Valley third and fourth. DKMN higher than they usually are. Jedler fifth, just a sixth. I'm interested to see what happens if it goes dry. Right now, seventh Seb, and that's CPI and X all over again here in the fourth row. It's not where either one of those guys would want to be. Sten ninth and Cine 10th, the first of the BMB guys on the grid. Not the greatest qualifying for them. But then again, it wasn't the greatest qualifying last week. It was followed up by a win, well, at least a podium. So, maybe a win after penalties or appeals and this, that, the other. Yeah, there's a lot that just happened. Spec Lap right at the end. George had the ASAC George had a dry setup, which will be pretty nice for him now as we are about to go into a dry race. Spec Lap gets all the headlines in quali. He's got a lot to live up to now with 32 laps of Imola to go. I'm just gonna have a quick drink there as we wait for people to start everything up. But yeah, everything can still change. We saw that last week, where basically everything changed many, many times. So up 14 people here as we wait for the load in. Everyone to sort themselves out. Alright, here we go. 3, 4, 5 red lights. I'm pretty sure there's still no formation lap. Which means it's lights out, away we go, and I'm right with that. Spec Lap gets by far better start. Guyton also there as well. We've got a bunch of people right beside each other right now as we go off the start. Justice gets Jedler. Those two are going to go side by side. And also, it looks like Spec Lap's able to hold the lead. And Ragnar and Seb as CPI and... oh, there's an incident going back there. George and Sine both off in the gravel at the back. That is not good news. George has picked up 5 seconds. We've got a virtual safety car. And that allows me to put on the tyres. So George has got 5 seconds, and I'm pretty sure him and Cine most definitely have damage. No front wing on the AlphaTauri. Cine looks to have avoided it, actually. Avoided damage at the very least. But he's going to be right at the back on medium tyres and probably warm medium tyres. They get to cool down straight away. But Spec Lap gets away the best. Gets a clean little break here from Guyton as well as we get a full-blown safety car. So, Specklet from Guyton from Frankis, nothing changed in the front three. Varley and Jedler, Justice, nothing changed through the front six at the moment. I think Seb may have got Ragnar as we went through. Yeah, he did in the first couple of corners. That's at the place gained by X Esports compared to CPI. Those two look to be furiously going at it the entire way through. You know, MCI that gained 4, you got Indian that gained 4, Knight got 4. As MCI and Sten are both going to pit and lose all their positions as well. Might be a bit early to go off the tyres you were on originally. Especially if you're pitting onto medium tyres now. So I guess it's a 2-stop for some of these guys. As we watch through the safety car, nothing changed in the top 6. 7th and 8th switched places. I think Jet also gained a place or 2, or even 3 in the way of... Aman's not commentating. Aman's not commentating. Rishi, if you looked in commentators chat, he dropped a message in saying so. I'm on my own today. But yeah, as we go through, a few people have already made a stop. They can somehow make those tyres go to the end. I guess they would be fine. George served his 5 seconds, which is probably wise of him. Yeah, you probably did. You were doing a lot, to be fair. But yeah, we've got... Well, we're through 1 lap. We've already had 1 safety cars. Incident between George and Cine at the back. We're about to see how long you can take hards. That's my thing. That's my question now. Because we saw people did it around lap 6 at Silverstone. They made it go to the end. Well, if you're Liam and Cine, for example, that gamble paid off massively. Went from pretty much nowhere in the race, held out and won the race. Well, right up towards the front, maybe even won the race after penalties. That does entail that, well, essentially 30 laps on those hard tyres. Whilst it might be possible, it's going to be a bit of a difficult one for them to do. I go through the final lap. Under the safety car here. It's the second lap of the safety car out. Everyone's bunched up, so it will go in at the end of this. And the question is, I think, is what kind of restart is Specklet going to do? Is Specklet going to catch Guyton sleeping? That's the real question here, because he got a good start. He got away, did just about enough to hold off Guyton off the start of the race. You're going to have to do it again pretty much immediately, as we're going to have the safety car come in basically any second. There you go. There's the message at the top of the screen for him to come in. It looked like Frankis had a bit of a problem there. There you go. Frankis and Varley switching positions back. The game allowing them to do that. Here we go. So, Specklet from the lead. We go on his go. Couple of corners left in the lap. We'll be going on lap 4. How is Guyton going to respond? You see Guyton looking... He looks alert. Specklet still going to hold off for the moment in time. We're going to go around the final corner. And Specklet's gone. Specklet has gone, and he got a bit of an advantage here on Guyton, who's also got a lot of advantage on Frankis, who's caught a little bit sleeping at the wheel here, I think. But Specklet has not got the wings that Guyton has, and Guyton's going to go the long way round, and Guyton hits the front of the race straight off the safety car restart, and Specklet basically had no hope. Had no hope of holding him off there. It's incredibly well done by Guyton there, and now Specklet's just going to hold to the back of the esports, well, ex-esports driver, as he looks to hold on, as Jedler loses out, goes wide, and there goes Seb, who went past Justice at the start and now goes past Jedler in the middle of the first lap after the safety car, as Jedler and Bali went side by side pretty much in the hairpin as they go now down towards Aquaman and Raleigh between Seb and Bali, and Seb has got a far better exit. He's on the medium tyre compared to the hard tyre, the Mercedes in front of him as well, and Bali's just going to stick to the middle of the track just to hold him off for a little while longer. Seb now pulled alongside, and Seb has a better exit, and X Esports are just climbing their way up the ladder right now. First in the race, fourth in the race right now. It's a great start here for X Esports. Bali's now going to have he's going to have a Jedler right up on the rear of his car any moment now. Guyton is gone. Guyton is gone. 1.1. Also Gatkowski in 16th is not the greatest showing I've ever seen from him so far as he loses out to MCI. Down the grid, not really much happening here as we go watch Sten versus Danny now, as Danny's not going to get anything here. We've got a spin. We've got a collision. And there's no front wing on the front of Justice's car. Indian's got a 5-second penalty. And I think also George has been caught up in this volley as well. We're going to get no safety car this time round as we're going to go 3 right in the back in the midfield here. Danny, MCI and Gatkowski. Gatkowski had a long way to go. He had a awful quali when you put it in perspective. Especially where you think he usually is. And this time he got a long way to go. Ragnar, his teammate in 7th, Seb and Guyton are their closest competitive you would expect, especially after Silverstone. Up in 1st and 4th, so they're losing a lot of ground. And Seb actually gets past Frankis here as well. Seb gets past Frankis and now had a chance to go at spec lap. It's been a great start so far here for X, and it looks like spec lap's going to hold him off for a little bit longer. And I think the McLarens were hoping for a little bit of rain in this race, as Guyton 1.5 seconds off in the lead already. Ariel Jets lost the DRS to Jedler, and you've got Indian also losing the DRS to Ragnar in 7th. We've got Gatkowski actually trying to close down Danny with a vengeance right now. Morak's dropping a little bit off. Knight goes past Indian there for 8th place, as we saw that in the foreground. Knight also picks up 3 seconds for a track limits penalty. And here comes Gatkowski with a far better exit on the chicane there. Gets past LRN Danny. Makes quick work of it. Gatkowski now has to go after the NLR driver. Currently sat in 11th. It looks like spec lap overtaken by Seb. He has. Seb's got just a straight line speed here as spec lap. And also NLR versus Jedler a little bit further back, which is won by Frankis. Just about does enough to hold off Jedler, but it's at the cost of holding on to the back of spec lap. George picks up 3 seconds for track limits as he's at the back of the grid right now. And Seb is closing in quite rapidly on Guyton. Gives Seb has had a flyer of a start. He had the same at Silverstone as well, so it's not a lot different from what I expected. I've seen him before. I know a lot about him. I know he's got a lot of pace. By Jedler holding onto the back of Frankis, who's got back within a second of spec lap. Who's holding onto the back of Seb right now, who's closed back into his teammate. Middle of the field starting to drift a little bit apart. Ragnar's coming after Jet. See how long that lasts. Also got Gatkowski in the middle of the field here. They've got a full 5-way train forming all the way back to Danny. Even further even. It looks like Stan right now under fire. from the NLR driver as he's going to go past the Indian quite rapidly, and same with the Aston Martin. That's pretty nice work from the two cars going into turn one, and maybe Gatkowski might be about to follow suit. He's not going to be able to do it through turn three. Maybe into the hairpin if he looks to the inside. Not going to do that either. And Seb overtakes Guyton. A little bit of contact there as Gatkowski gets past. A sliding Indian. And Gatkowski there doing good work up to 11th so far. Will be in the range of Knight as well after his 3-second time penalty. A lot of ground to make up. Seb's currently flying. Seb and Guyton X is on a roll right now. George picks up an extra 3. Oh, not having the greatest of times here. 15th and 19th. Most of the action going on in midfield right now. May take a quick look at the front. We're not actually going to go there yet because we've got MCI on Sten here, sorry. And it looked like MCI, he gets it all wrong. Did eventually get past, and then a little bit of a tap by Gatkowski, but it doesn't send anyone. Definitely wasn't expecting that. Guyton loses the position out to Specklap as well, who's holding on lost the position and now holding on to his dear life. Gatkowski sends it on the inside there of MCI, and these two are going to go up the hill. And Gatkowski concedes the position back. And Ansel is out of the session. He retired in the pits. Varley gets 3 seconds for track limits penalties. Gatkowski is going to get a better exit out of Aqua Minerale, but I don't think it's a good enough exit to trouble MCI here, and it isn't. Maybe if he can do it out of the chicane, he might be able to trouble him. He might be able to trouble Sten in front of him too. And Danny gets past Indian behind. McLaren's starting to make his way through the way he's forward, and also Sinner gets through as well, and that might just be a team swap. As we head down towards turn one now, and that car's going to get in the way of a couple of people. Guyton gets past Specklap. As we see Ansel's car just come out into the middle of the track. Waiting to see if it killed anyone here. Nightball got past Ragnar in the middle, and Danny gets past as well. Got Ragnar versus Knight here, and Ragnar's going to hold on. This middle of the pack is really close right now. Sten closing in on the two in front of him. You don't want to be allowing Gatkowski into this fight either, because Gatkowski has a lot of pace. And they're going to go too wide here through the corner. On the inside is Gatkowski, and he's going to make it work. You get the inside line there. There's not a lot the person on the outside can do apart from just hold on to the edge of the track. That's obviously going to give Gatkowski the benefit down the hill towards Aqua Minerale, and now the benefit to try and hunt down SRL Sten. I'm going to head through the end of the chicane. Not going to be able to do an awful lot there to try and get past this Mercedes, who's trying to hold on to the back of Knight. As Ragnar also in front, not able to hold on to the back of anyone either. Gatkowski is going to be the one we'll pay attention here to here, because the DRS, I don't think the guys at the front are going to be able to make a position swap or overtake or any sort of thing like that. As we head down towards turn one, neither is Gatkowski's. Sten's got him on the ropes a little bit here in front. Looks like Jedler are going to go after Frankis here as well. Danny gets past Warax as he looks to go after Sine. Jedler not able to get past Frankis here. Still 0.2 of a second split these two. And it's going to have to be a little bit longer before Jedler can make a move here on Frankis. Jedler trying to recover a bad week for ASAC last week. See how high he can get this time. Frankis losing a little bit of time on Specklap, who's been recently done by Guyton as X's 1 and 2 once again. Warax also looking to go at Danny as those are fighting in the back of the field. Also Sten losing a lot of time here on Knight, and I think that's mostly just to do with defending Gatkowski here. You do use a lot of effort defending a guy like Gatkowski if you even choose to actually defend him, because he is a lot quicker than most people. And there you go, as we see Gatkowski past Den. They're going to go side by side into turn 1 here until Gatkowski has enough speed to pull away right at the end. Gatkowski moves up to 9th, Sten in 10th. MCI right on the back of these two in 11th. Sten on the hard tire at the moment as well. We'd expect Sten to have a bit more pace at the end then, when these two have to inevitably go onto that hard tire. MCI just having to hold off for a little bit longer. Ragnar also overtaken by the Ferrari in the process, but also the Ferrari having an awful Aqua Minerale. Opens the door again for Ragnar, who doesn't take it, can't find it, looked left, looked right, doesn't find a way through, but Sten picked up 3, Knight picked up 3 just in Aqua Minerale as well, and Jet also picked up 3 right in front of these two. As he's 2 seconds off the pace of Jedler, who also picked up 3 on the final corner of the lap. Guyton now within a second of Seb, but I don't know if he's got the RS yet. Specklap also closing in. Got a lot of people fighting here. Here comes Nightborn on Jet. Nightbore, sorry. On Jet, gets past. George also gets past Danny for 14th. Pretty nicely done there by the Ferrari. GPS not having a great of a week as they did in qualifying last week. The race didn't exactly go their way. Oh, there goes Jet. Oh, there goes Jet. Span off the edge of the traction in the hairpin. And now he's just going to tumble the way down the grid. And that's another place there for Gatkowski. Also one for Ragnar as well as the CPI boy. They're going to go fighting, and I assume there has to be a team swap coming up here. As there is, Gatkowski goes past Ragnar, and that allows for Gatkowski to make his way further up the grid now. He has a long way to go still to catch the X-Boys of the lead. He probably still has the pace to do it, but getting past them, well, to catch up he does. But to get past them is another story. Also, Specklap, no donkey so far in this race. And Specklap might be able to go past Guyton as we speak. Guyton's running out of ERS. I'm actually going to enable that to give a quick look at, no ERS there. For Guyton, there's 40% in the car of a McLaren, and it helps get past. There you go. Specklap has held its own very nicely in this one. Seb's on medium tyres, remember, and hasn't really been able to build that much of a gap. It is a second, but it isn't much more than a second. And we go further down the grid, and pit stop for the Alfa Romeo as the Haas of Justice goes by. Penalties up and down the grid at the moment. We had a couple of us also have penalties for incidents in the first lap. Specklap's got a decent gap on Guyton now. Guyton's had an awful lap. Specklap holding his own against Seb. Not holding up enough to get DRS at the moment. Maybe just about gets into actually getting it. No, he doesn't. Which means Guyton's going to get it. Specklap isn't. This is Guyton's chance to make a quick move if he can get there close enough. Here comes Jedler on Frankis, and we get that. And we get back to the battle in front with Guyton. Does have enough road in the end to get past Specklap and into second place, as X is doing a good job right now in this one. And another 3 for the Alfa Romeo driver in 18th. So we currently watch a 4-way fight for second place on the grid right now. Right. Second place in the race. But we are going through. It doesn't look like an awful lot is changing into the chicane. Varley gets 3 more. Tacked onto his time for corner for track limits. Gatkowski on Knight now. This is going to be the interesting one. Going to have 2 quick battles going on here. We'll see what can be done. Speclap's going to get DRS, so Jedler's not going to be able to hold him off. Well, use that as a method of getting past, but he is going to get past nonetheless. Jedler past Speclap, and Speclap is just tumbling down the leaderboard a little bit here. Gatkowski on Knight as well, as Gatkowski makes quick work of that with DRS. Up to 6th. He's made his way from, I believe, it's like 16th. So he's making his way up the grid right now, Gatkowski. Still, most of the grid has to pit. A couple of people can go to the end from here. Jet goes into the pits now. What's going on midfield? Let's have a look. George and Warak's going after Sine. Doesn't look like that's going to happen very soon. It's more like they're going to go after each other up the hill before they head back down it to Aquaman or Raleigh. Warak's is closing in, but not really able to do anything at the moment. Right on the back of George. And I don't think he's going to be able to get close enough into the chicane. No, he's not. It looks like the AlphaTauri is just about going to hold on for now. We head down the straight. Looks like Jedler has enough in the tank here. He's going to go after Guyton, who doesn't have DRS, being 1.7 behind his teammate, and Guyton overtaken by Jedler. And Jedler hits 2nd in the race. ASAC looking to do what they couldn't last week. Hero, who also raced for ASAC last week, moved on. I think it was not so long before this race, actually. Moved to, I think it was Juventus Racing. But he's doing, well, Jedler is doing a very good job for ASAC right now. His teammate in 12th, maybe able to find something on Sine, but got a long way to go to catch past Sten. Also, Gatkowski still 2.7 seconds behind Frankenstein at top 5. Knight gets 3 more tacked onto his time, and that's going to make people like Ragnar and MCI quite happy right now. They're going to go through into lap. Well, we are about to enter lap 18, I think. Seb is actually going to come into pit. Interesting. And that means Jedler gets to lead the lap of this race. For how long? He's got a Guyton in his mirrors. Guyton's nowhere near close enough to make a battle into a turn 1 or turn 2. It looked like Jedler's going to hold on for a little while longer. Speclap also getting himself involved in the front of this. There's Jedler 8/10 of a second. We got a nice little helicopter cam right now as we head up the hill. Seb comes out in 15th with clean air. That's not good news for the rest of the grid. Bear in mind now he's going to be on hard tyres, a little bit slower, but he's still going to be on quicker pace than the guys currently at the front because they're on 17 lap old hard tyres. It looks like Jedler is breaking away here from Guyton. Guyton, not really much GRS to play with, neither Jedler. And Guyton's into the pits. Guyton is into the pits, so that's both ex-esports drivers now made their pit stops. Guyton started on the hards. I assume it's a medium tyre going on that car. It is a medium tyre going on that car. Is he coming out before or after Seb? It looks like he's going to get out after Seb. Seb coming to the line now. Goes past the line and is just about to get ahead of Guyton as Guyton comes out of the pit lane. And Seb beats Guyton out by maybe, actually, it's a couple of seconds, actually. Well, it's a couple of seconds of an undercut there by Seb. Guyton's on fresher tyres, on quicker tyres as well. Also, Gatkowski is losing a grasp on the guys in front of him right now rather than gaining to the front, well, technically top 5. Currently got a spec lap in second. Or in second on the track anyway. Figure out where these guys are coming out when they go into pit. Here comes Jedler. But over the line doesn't pit this lap. Neither does none of the front 3 does. And it's Gatkowski. Nope, but it is. And maybe it's just a sting in the tail coming here at the end, I think. I don't know what it's going to be. Bearing in mind, Justice can still go the entire race. I think Jet might be able to, well, Jet, George and Indian definitely. And Warax versus Cine. Warax got a nice move there with DRS. That's basically been most of the overtakes we've seen so far today, unless the difference of exits out the chicane has spurred on people like Gatkowski and or Seb so far to try and make the moves out of the chicane, the final chicane. We're just heading into the part of the race where we're starting to meander along a little bit. Someone decides that they wanted to rev up a motorcycle outside. Well, it looks like Spec Lap is closing in on Jedler here. Spec Lap periodically finds a lot of pace. And it's kind of a little bit confusing. Also not a little bit confusing because he also has the extortion amount of ERS compared to the rest of the grid in and around him in particular. Here comes Spec Lap on Jedler, and the time that Jedler had leading this race has been cut to an abrupt halt as Spec Lap hits the front of the race. He started on pole, he got back to the front of the race, he was leading for the first 2 laps of this one. I think it was 5 or 6 before he was officially overtaken. Albeit some of them were done under the safety car. Also, you got Gatkowski closing on Francis a little bit. Francis running out of room against Jedler and Spec Lap here. Also 1.7 seconds behind. Cine gets past Warax all over again. And these two are going to fight into the hairpin. And Warax had a bit of a problem in that hairpin. And that might allow for Danny to go after him. Cine goes very deep there. That's probably a warning at the very least, and that's grass. And Cine's having a bit of a problem going through the second sector on this lap, and this might open the door up for Warax and Danny all over again. And Seb also at 11th right now, after overtaking Barley even after making his pit stop. It looks like Guyton's going to get by as well, as Danny's going to be overtaken by Seb just in front here. Seb on the inside gets a nice little move. Let's have a look at what Ragnar versus Gatkowski is doing. And maybe, Gatkowski overtaken by Ragnar with DRS there. Sten gets past MCI as well, as everything seemingly going to plan right now for X Esports. Also, I reckon Spec Lap won't be too disappointed in the position he's in. Doesn't look like we've had any major incidents outside of the lap 1 safety car. Gatkowski's still trying to hold in. And here comes Seb, the long way round on Warax. That's a nice move. The long way round in a hairpin is not an easy move to make. But Seb makes it stick. Here comes Seb on Cine. It looks to try and gets past him. He doesn't want traffic because he knows the guys in front of him. Well, the guys that are behind him don't have a lot, unless you're Guyton. But Spec Lap and Jedler still have pit stops to make as well, and he knows they have clean air right now. So he knows he needs clean air as well, as he's going to get the better exit out of the chicane and get himself that clean air. He's got 7 seconds in front of him now, and a long way to go. Gatkowski versus Ragnar all over again, and Gatkowski's going to go by. They're going to just swap every other lap by the looks of things. Sten able to hold off MCI for the moment. Guyton stuck right behind Warax for the moment in time as they head down towards turn 1. Well, turn 2 even if you want to be pedantic. And here comes Guyton down the inside. Is he going to send it? Nope. He's going to stick behind Warax. So he knows the longer he sticks behind Warax, the longer he's losing time to his own teammate. And he's going to go for the switch back on the inside there. And Guyton on the inside doing the opposite of what Seb did to Warax on the outside of the prior lap in that hairpin. And up to 10th goes Guyton. We've got Sinnig that splits him and Seb and Dive. Am I going insane or is that rain? That's rain. And things have just changed. Things have just changed drastically. And all of a sudden, it's Jedler versus Speclap, provided this rain goes hard enough for intermediate tyres. Gatkowski goes into pit. I can only assume that the intermediate tyre is going to come out here. And it is intermediates for Gatkowski. And all of a sudden, the race has just been turned on its head. And all the good work that X Esports had done in the first 24 might be about to come undone. It might be about to come undone for the intermediate tyres right now. The rain is coming down. The wind going from, I think that's from left to right. Oh, the rain has just switched everything. Yeah, it's raining. It's raining. The track is dampening. You can see the puddles on the track now. It's intermediate tyre weather. And everything has just changed. The front 5 in particular must be loving themselves right now. They must be loving life. They could not have got this more right if they tried. Especially Gatkowski as well, who got an early jump on the pit stop and is going to get the benefit of a... Oh, Spec Lap with a little bit on the traction on the entry to the pit lane there. We've got a bunch of people coming into the pit lane. Seb and Guyton have just lost out massively. They have to... Seb's staying out. Guyton's going... Guyton's staying out as well. They're just going to pray. Everyone onto the intermediate tyres now. Exo have gone all balls to the wall here. It's either going to pay off massively or do the exact opposite. There's about 7 laps, maybe 8 laps of the race left to go. Here comes Gatkowski, and he's come out in technically in 5th place. Jedler's got a penalty for track limits, remember. So Spec Lap right now, provided this race sticks, has a very good chance of winning this race, but it's not a very good chance when you've got Gatkowski, who's just fallen into a lot of luck. Well, I say a lot of luck, but it usually tells you there's rain on the forecast before the race as Gatkowski goes past Spec Lap. This is what Spec Lap wanted. Bearing in mind, Spec Lap just went on pole in the rain in qualifying. And Seb spun it! Seb spun it! And there goes one half of the hopes for the X Esports team as Jedler gets a little bit in the way. Well, getting caught in the way of Seb there. And Gatkowski hits the front of the race as soon as he can get past his old pal Guyton. And all of a sudden, there's a gamble there to be made by X. And a gamble that has not turned out well in the slightest. A gamble that has backfired. A gamble that will see them drop outside the top 10 in points. And all of a sudden, one thing after another for X. The start of this season not going the way they wanted. And all of a sudden, it's gone the other way. And what looked like a team that was down and out for the race, CPI, 1st and 5th, all of a sudden, in complete control all over again. Seb is out of the race. Guyton Probably not far away from doing the same. Literally last ditch change in the weather. I said it earlier. Did I or did I not? You can go on tape. About half an hour ago, I pointed out that there's going to be a sting in the tail somewhere in this race. I didn't expect it to be rain. Not entirely surprised it is rain. Sinead's out the session. Well, Sinead left. Internet connection is not great news for him. He's going to drop a few places. Unless he can get back into the session rather quickly. Depends right now. 3 for Jetler, the only one that actually makes a difference. You got 6 for Sten, that's a mute. 3 for Cine and Danny, which cancel each other out as MCI is about to go past Danny here. Danny goes on the inside of a AI Cine, I think. And there goes MCI as well. So MCI will jump one place. 14 for Valley, 11 for Warax. Justice and Guyton have none apiece. 6 for George, 9 for Knight, and 3 for Indian at the back, who served a 5 earlier on. We got yellow flags all over the place. This time it's for Jet's car out of the race. All of a sudden, it just changes. It changes on its head, just like that. Just like that, all over again. I don't think X Esports could have had a more unlucky start to the season if they had tried. The first 2 races they had on track for 1-2 permitted Gatkowski's pace in Silverstone, obviously, and they've got nothing out of either race. Ouch! And now they are left basically floundering in the season. Oh, that is devastating. If you're a fan of X, if you're a fan of CPI, you cannot believe your luck. You cannot believe what you are watching. Gatkowski, well, he was 6th, but he was in the middle of nowhere, trying to hunt down the top 5, which has very good pace in the dry here, to getting 1 lap jump on the rest of the grid, and basically is just flat out dominating this race now. This race is now Gatkowski's to lose and someone else's to win. Jedler pushing the boundaries on his track limits here. He's probably going to lose the podium spots as well at the moment, Jedler, unless he can find some pace here in the wet. Specklap looking for second. He's not going to be able to do enough to get to Gatkowski. Not unless he pulled off some absolute miracle driving in the last 5. Oh, that's going to sting. That has got to sting. Credit to Specklap. I will say that. Credit to Specklap. He has been marvellous this entire race, whatever's been thrown at him. The man, albeit not entirely, was trying his best to hold off a 2v1 against X. He had Jedler on his back. He's had Gatkowski to deal with. That man's not had an easy race by any means. Yeah, he will get some points, but it's not a lot. Jesus Christ. Valley and Warwick's with a lot of penalty. Jedler picks up 3 more! And there goes any hope of a podium. Maysak probably not going to be the happiest here with Jedler's second penalty. He's gonna end up 5th. We'll see what they make of that. Track limits at this point was probably not the greatest thing you'll ever do. 3 seconds now split. Jedler and Frankis, which means Ragnar's in within. If he'd not got the 3 seconds, he'd be sitting himself on a podium right now. Knight got Knight DNF'd. George, the other ASAC driver, retired from the session as well. We've got a lot to deal with in the last 3 laps, and unfortunately not a lot of it is going to be on track. Jedler has to hold off Spec Lap now. And pray that a lot of time in here that he can find to maybe Francis and Ragnar. CPI still looking for a podium here. Bear in mind, all it takes is for Ragnar to get past Francis and CPI have a double podium. All it takes. As we got Speclap still on the back of Jedler, and I think if I had Speclap, I'll take the 2nd place. Gatkowski obviously has to be driver of the day, provided he doesn't spin the way in the last 3 races. There's your comment. There's the classic commentator's curse if I've ever seen one, if that does happen. Oh, Jedler getting a little bit slidey out on the track there. If Gatkowski makes a mistake at all, he hands a win to Speclap. NCI picks up 3 as well now. And any chance he had of getting to Sten in 6th place has just disappeared into the distance. So Sten's going to end 6th. Valley's going to drop well out. And as it stands, I think Guyton will get a point. He'll end 10th. Taking Barley's spot, but that's about it. Just outside the 3 seconds to Danny in 9th. Who will just stick to 9th, I'm pretty sure. Speclap still looking to try and make something work on Jedler here as we go towards the end. A lot has happened. I would say it's fortunate, but especially if it shows up on the beginning of the, on the forecast. If it's not forecasted at any point to rain, they should have been paying attention to that. Whereas it's probably partially X's own undoing. Oh, and I think Danny spun it. Danny spun it. Yep, Danny has definitely spun that. Which means Danny's going to drop out. Guyton's going to gain 1 more. 2 points for X Esports after what was looking like a very comfortable 1-2. Here comes Speclap versus Jedler. And if I'm Speclap, I don't force anything. You aren't catching Gat. You cannot afford a spin. Jedler has 6 seconds. If you force anything now, you will be just making your life a lot harder for yourself for no reason. Also, Ragnar's closing in ever so slightly onto Frankis. Can NLR hold on to a podium here at Imola? It doesn't look like it. Well, it looked like they might be able to. Ragnar's within a second now. Obviously, it doesn't matter. DRS is not a thing anymore in this race. But he is closing it in. Much like Speclap is to Jedler, they go through the hairpin now. Gatkowski is away in the distance. Gatkowski times his strategy to perfection. Jedler's sliding a little bit. And they're going to go through the 2nd sector for the final time now. We are on lap 32 of 32 at Imola. 4/10 of a second here for Ragnar. Desperate on the end of the podium. He's lost all his time. And he just lost his podium aspiration. As we watch Gatkowski now. Down to the 2nd to the last. Through the 2nd to the last. Doesn't touch any gravel. Doesn't pick up a penalty. Goes through the final corner. Left to right. And he goes over the line. And he makes it a win in Imola. Whether last week was dubious or not, this week is undeniable. The rain played into his favour. And the rain makes him win the race here at Imola. From 16th on the grid, I'm pretty sure. A splendid drive. Could have asked any more of the CPI driver to win the race. Speclap in 2nd, had an all-round incredible drive himself. If Gatkowski hadn't come from as far back as he had, Speclap would definitely have been driver of the day. Frankis gets third, holds out from Ragnar in fourth. CPI 1-4. They won't be too disappointed with that. Jedler gets fifth at the end after what could have been. Sten gets sixth. MCI gets seventh as he finishes off a 3-7 for NLR, which is a much needed improvement on last week's race. Justice gets eighth. Guyton gets ninth. The consolation prize from what could have been a 1-2. Varley gets 10th. Even with his God knows how many penalties in the end. Danny gets 11th. Cine gets 12th. Rorax gets 13th. And Indian's going to come over the line here at the end. The wrap up in 14th with 5 DNS. And everything is just going CPI's way right now. Jesus Christ. Well then, Red Bull. We saw this animation again last week. But he got a 5-second penalty. This week, it's undeniable. Some may say fortunate. Some may say just skillful. Some may just say just paying attention. But either way, from 15th on the grid, takes it home. Couldn't have been any more proud of himself today, I don't think. And CPI can't be any more proud of Gatkowski after the first 2 races either. That being said, LRN has to give Speclap all of his dues today. And there you go. What a race. We had a great race. An unbelievable race at Silverstone with twist and turns. And this time I predicted the twist and turn that came in Imola. There was one last twist in the tail. It handed CPI the advantage they needed. And I think with that, I'll say goodbye in a bit.